Hello kiddos of class 6, I hope you all are doing great. Well, I'm about to start your second unit B reading, which is a poem titled as In the Bazaars of Hyderabad. But before that, I'd like to discuss about the life and works of the poetess Sarojini Naidu. So this video is dedicated to the poet Sarojini Naidu, and the upcoming video will be on the poem In the Bazaars of Hyderabad. So I want you to listen carefully because you're going to write down everything about the poetess in your notes. So without further ado, let's get started. Let's begin by understanding the early life of Sarojini Naidu. Well, Sarojini Naidu was not just a great poetess. She was also a great political activist and a remarkable freedom fighter. An activist is the person who fights for a cause. An activist usually works in associations or groups. She was the prominent figure in India's struggle for freedom. She was born to Bengali parents who settled in Hyderabad. Her father was Aghorenath Chattopadhyay and mother was Bharada Sundari Devi. What was the father's name? Aghorenath Chattopadhyay and her mother was Bharada Sundari Devi. Her father Aghorenath Chattopadhyay was the first principal of Hyderabad College. Now it is known as the Nizam College. He was a man who earned a doctorate, a PhD in science from Edinburgh University, and he settled in Hyderabad and looked after the administration of the Hyderabad College, now known as Nizam College. Whereas Sarojini Naidu's mother, Bharada Sundari Devi, was a greatest Bengali poet, and she wrote poetry mostly in Bengali. So Sarojini Naidu was born on 13th of February 1879 in Hyderabad. She was one of the 8 children in the family and she was eldest of all. One of her brothers was Virendranath Chattopadhyay. He was also a political activist and a revolutionist. Yet another of her brothers was Hirendranath Chattopadhyay. He was a great poet, dramatist and an actor as well. So it was a family of artists and it was well received and well respected in Hyderabad. Everybody knew the Chattopadhyay family well, not because of the fact that they looked after the administration of the Hyderabad College, but because it was the family of artists and extremely talented people. Being artists during the British Raj was not that easy. Because of it, they were respected and quite popular in Hyderabad. So let's talk about the education of Sarojini Naidu. So Sarojini Naidu completed her matriculation. She passed her class 10th from the University of Madras, after which she took a gap of 4 years. Why did she take this gap of 4 years? Well, she was interested in writing. She was attracted towards arts. She loved writing poetries and plays. And she was a polyglot, a very bright, brilliant student. A polyglot is the person who has knowledge of various languages. So, her first work was a play which was titled as Mahir Munir, and it was written in Persian language. So when the Nizam of Hyderabad read this work of hers, he was quite impressed. So this play actually helped her to earn a scholarship from the Nizam's charitable trust. She got a scholarship. With the help of the same scholarship, she went to United Kingdom to pursue her higher studies. She goes to England. She studies in various colleges. Firstly, she studies in the King's College, London. Later on, she studies at Girton College at Cambridge. During this period of her studies, she meets a general physician whose name was Pedipati Govindarajulu Naidu. What was his name? Pedipati Govindarajulu Naidu. He was a physician from Andhra Pradesh. So when Sarojini Naidu meets him, they love each other, and Sarojini Naidu marries him at the age of 19. And that's how she got the surname as Naidu. Earlier, her name was Sarojini Chattopadhyaya. After marrying to a South Indian man, she got the surname of Naidu. And she had 5 children with him. Now let's talk about the political career of Sarojini Naidu. Well, it was the year of 1905 and it was the period of the partition of Bengal. So she was not happy with the partition of Bengal and she decided to fight for India's freedom from the British. She happens to meet various freedom fighters and political leaders such as Gopal Krishna Gokhale, Jawaharlal Nehru, Mahatma Gandhi, etc. When she meets Mahatma Gandhi, she feels quite impressed and quite inspired by Mahatma Gandhi, and she follows his idea of Swaraj. Not only does she follow his idea of Swaraj, but also participates in various national movements. From the year 1915 to 1918, she travels various regions in India, delivering speech, delivering lectures on freedom of women, social welfare, and she also spoke against the British rule. It would not be an exaggeration to call her a feminist as well, because she fought for the freedom, the emancipation of women, and also for the universal suffrage. Remember, women were not allowed to vote in the past. So she wanted this to change. She wanted a universal suffrage. She wanted even women to have and practice the right to vote in the elections. So in the year 1920, she participated in Mahatma Gandhi's Satyagraha. Not only did she participate in Satyagraha, but also various other movements such as civil disobedience movements, Quit India movements and all. Now, because of the fact she participated in all these national movements, she had to face repeated arrests by the British authority. She was put in prison multiple times. She had to spend about 21 months in prison. She became the first woman to become the president of Indian National Congress. She became the first Indian woman to become the president of Indian National Congress. Earlier, Annie Besant was the president of Indian National Congress. Remember, Annie Besant was a British. She was actually born to Irish parents, but when she came to India, she was moved by the passion of Indian people, and she also contributed in India's freedom. Her contribution in the independence of India was great. So Annie Besant is also known as Indian nationalist. So she was the first woman to be the president of Indian National Congress. After her, Sarojini Naidu became the president of Indian National Congress. She was the first Indian woman to be the president of Indian National Congress. In the year 1947, which was immediately after the independence of India, Sarojini Naidu became the governor of United Provinces. Earlier, Uttar Pradesh was known as United Provinces. So she was the first Indian woman governor. She assumed the office of governor in the year 1947, which was immediately after independence, and she stayed in the office till her death in 1949. So this was the political career. She was the first Indian governor and a great freedom fighter. Let's now talk about the writing style of Sarojini Naidu. Well, Sarojini Naidu writes mostly about patriotism and nature. She writes about natural world and also about India during the British rule. So her writing style is easy and quite traditional. It's very simple and traditional. It's mostly about India during the British rule. So the major theme of most of her works is patriotism, and sometimes she used to write about nature, love, etc. Like I said, her first work was a play which was written in Persian language. It is titled as Maher Munir. She wrote it at the age of 12. In the year 1905, a collection of her poetry was published, and it was titled as The Golden Threshold. When was it published? In the year 1905. It was a collection of poems, and it was titled as This was her collection of poems, which was published in the year 1905. What was the title? The Golden Threshold. Now this collection of poetry was read by almost all the prominent Indian politicians and freedom fighters, and they were all quite impressed by this work of Sarojini Naidu. Especially Gopal Krishna Gokhale was very much impressed by this poetry. And when Mahatma Gandhi read it, he gave the title of the Nightingale of India. So because of this work, Sarojini Naidu got the title the Nightingale of India. But I think I just saw one of her speeches on YouTube. When I heard her, I was first confused whether was she singing or speaking, because she was speaking so rhythmically and I just got confused. I thought that she was singing, but later on I realized she was actually giving a speech. She was addressing people. I'll provide the link in the description box. Kindly watch the video. Watch this video first and go to description and watch the video where you can hear Sarojini Naidu's voice. you will understand why is she called as the Nightingale of India, because her voice was very musical. She spoke in a very rhythmic manner. Please watch the video. Now, this poem in the bazaars of Hyderabad was published in the year 1917, and another of her poem, The Feather of Dawn, was written in 1927, but it was published posthumously. It was published after her death. It was published by her daughter Padmaja Naidu in the year 1961. So this was the writing career of Sarojini Naidu. I've just named very few of her works. Of course, there are a lot of works. Now, there are various institutions attributed to her name, such as Sarojini Devi Eye Hospital, Sarojini Naidu School of Arts and Communication, Sarojini Naidu College for Women, Sarojini Naidu College for Medical Science, etc. All of these institutions are named after her. They are attributed to her. And she also got a medal, Kesar-e-Hind medal. What was the medal that she got? Kesar-e-Hind. She did a lot of public service. She helped poor people a lot during this epidemic of plague, due to which the British government honored her with the medal Kesar-e-Hind. It was a medal given especially for the public services. If you help society during such time of crisis, you were given a medal by the British government. But Sarojini Naidu gave this medal back. She returned it to Britishers as a protest to the 1919 Jallianwala Bagh massacre. She gave it back as a protest. So finally, she died on 2nd of March 1949 due to cardiac arrest, due to a heart attack. She dies at the age of 70 in a hospital in Lucknow. So that was all for today's video. I hope you enjoyed watching it. We shall meet in the upcoming video with a detailed explanation of the poem in the bazaars of Hyderabad. Until then, goodbye, take care.